The author of that second reading, Romans, certainly speaks to our world this day and this time in history when that author writes, "All creation is groaning." What a great word, groaning, that certainly describes our present situation with all of the upheaval around us. The virus, the anguish of our sisters and brothers of color, the anguish of our Native American brothers and sisters, the anguish of our Italian American brothers and sisters, not to mention the chaos in Washington or the abuse crisis in the church. We are definitely living in historic times that people will look back on and critique us as to how we dealt with all of these challenges. I've often spoken from the pulpit about the great lessons that we should be learning from all of these issues, especially this pandemic. Somehow each one of us has to figure out what the Lord is saying to each one of us in all of this. Our groaning is certainly deep and painful. We just want this to come to an end and look towards a better future. We do want to settle back into a safe and quiet world where we can travel and go out to dinner and be comfortable with family and do all the things we routinely did only a few months ago. All around us, these many challenges certainly make us uncomfortable. And as the writer of that second letter to Romans says, we're all waiting for redemption. Unfortunately, I believe the kind of redemption that we all are looking for, a return to what was normal, is probably not the kind of redemption that we're going to experience. We are living at a moment in history like none before. In the midst of our groaning and our hunger for some stability, forces are underway that will change us and change our culture forever. So we must figure out how we're going to deal with this groaning. How do we face an unknown future? I think there's 3 steps, and I think the first one is that we have to acknowledge this groaning. We have to sit with it, befriend it, be aware of what it's demanding of us. In the gospel, the longer version of the gospel, which we didn't print, Jesus quotes Isaiah and tells us through Isaiah that healing will only happen when we open our hearts, when we hear with our ears and see with our eyes. So in the midst of our groaning, we're being challenged to listen, to see, to understand in a new way what the Lord is asking of us through all of this chaos, what the Lord is telling us through all this chaos. Might the Lord be telling us that we are not in charge, that we don't have the power we thought we had, that the small microscopic bug has changed our lives, turning them upside down. Secondly, I think we must be ready to put our trust in God and move away from believing that we have all the answers, that we can do it all by ourselves. And thirdly, I believe that we must come together as the human family, realizing that we are all connected, and that the healing will happen only when we put our trust in a power greater than ourselves and be willing to put aside all that separates us from one another. We're definitely groaning these days. Life is changed. But there's that great phrase in the preface of the funeral mass that says, life is changed not ended. We will be groaning for a while. And each one of us has to decide whether this groaning will lead us to greater growth and strength or more stagnation. For us as individuals, for your marriages, for family life, for the world, the nation, the church. I believe that these challenges force us to listen to this groaning, to face our insecurities in order to clarify our priorities, to be aware of the fragility and worth of all life, to have a new appreciation of simple social pleasures, and to understand the pain and the anguish of any people that feel oppressed, and put aside our differences and truly begin to listen to one another. You know, it would be a real shame if, when things calm down, we still find ourselves mired in short-sighted, self-focused, conflicted, and trivial preoccupations, missing out on creating a much healthier, safer world where we truly care about each other, where divisions end and the human community prospers. Yes, the author of Romans gets it. We're groaning. So let us open our eyes, our ears, and our hearts. The redemption that we seek can be attained if we slow down, get our priorities straight, and truly listen to what our God is saying to us.